This is reviewing for variables and expressions. So this is where we're doing a lot of our translating. So when we're going to translate words into algebraic expressions, whenever we see a plus, we're going to be looking for words like add, sum, more, increased. More than would be another one. Added to. Any of those words that would tell me I need to be adding. Subtract, difference, less, decreased by, those are all going to be using the subtraction symbol. Multiply, product, times, per, especially that word per in word problems use multiplication. Divide, quotient, split, ratio, all of those use the division symbol. So if we say Kenny owns V video games and Stan owns 7 more video games than Kenny. So that more tells me I'm looking at plus. So V already represents the number of games that Kenny owns. Stan owns 7 more video games. So I can represent Stan's video games by V plus 7. That's the word more. So it doesn't matter if you write 7 plus V or V plus 7 because in addition, order doesn't matter. If we were translating Jenny is 12 years younger than Candy. So write an expression for Jenny's age if Candy is C years old. So C represents Candy's age. Younger than, when we're talking about age, means less than, so I'm going to take away years, which means I'm going to do subtraction. So Candy's age minus 12 years, so Candy's older, so I need to subtract the 12. That's subtraction, so C minus 12 would be the expression. Now the expression 12 minus C is not the same. It's not like addition where order doesn't matter. When you're subtracting, order very much so matters. Your bigger number has to be first. Candy's older, it's that age minus 12 years. Alright, so these are just some examples of how we can actually translate these. So Jared can type 35 words per minute. Write an expression for the number of words he can type in M minutes. So that word per is what you look for up here, and that tells us that tells us multiply. So 35 words per minute. M is the number of minutes, so the expression is going to be 35 times M. Okay. Mr. O'Brien's commute to work is half an hour less than Miss Santos' commute. Write an expression for the length of Mr. O'Brien's commute if Miss Santos' commute is H hours. So if we take a look at these two, less than is a subtraction word. So I'm going to take Miss Santos' hours because it starts with there. He is less than that, so I'm going to subtract off that 0.5. That's all we're looking for, is to write the expression. Miss Knighton bought a box of C cookies and split them evenly between the 25 students in her classroom. Write the expressions for the number of cookies each student received. So again, split was a division word. So we start with 25 students are in the classroom. C is the number of cookies. So you start with your number of cookies, and I split them, I divided them into 25 equal groups. So C divided by 25. All right, Henri collected 152 recyclable bottles. Letitia collected B number of recyclable bottles. Write an expression for the number of bottles they collected all together. All together is an addition word. So we started with the 152 bottles that one of them collected. I'm going to add together, because it's all together, B number of bottles. And last but not least, Tammy's current rent is R number of dollars. Next month it will be reduced by $50. Write an expression for next month's rent. Reduced by, that's going to be a subtraction. So we've got her current rent, and the next month is that amount reduced by 50. Alright, variables and expressions continued, a little bit more review. A variable of blank minus 9 depends on what number is placed in the box. So if we wanted to evaluate some number minus 9 when 20 is placed in the box, right, you would literally go in and place the 20 in the box and do 20 minus 9, and that's 11. That's all a variable really is a blank place for you to put in numbers that they give you. So in algebra, variables are going to be used instead of boxes. So instead of putting boxes or open spaces everywhere for every expression we want to use a variable, we're actually going to just put in the letter X. Other letters can be used, but quite often it is x. So in algebra, variables are used instead of boxes, and it wants you to evaluate x divided by 7 when x equals 28. So I write my x divided by 7, then I'm going to replace that x or substitute that x with the number 28. When I do 28 divided by 7, I get 4. Sometimes the expression has more than one variable, so it wants you to evaluate x plus y, and then it tells you x is going to equal 6 and y is going to equal 2. So what happens when x is 6 and y is 2? So I'm going to substitute in place of x, I'm going to put a 6, in place of y I'm going to put a 2, then work the math, and 6 plus 2 is 8. So evaluate 5 plus the box, the big open box, when each number is placed in the box. So this one's just going to be 5 plus 3, and that equals 8. This one's going to be 5 plus 5, that just equals 10. And this one's going to be 5 plus 24, and that's just going to equal 29. Notice the 5 plus didn't change at any point. All right, so now evaluate each expression where x equals 4, y equals 6, and z equals 3. So I'm just going to go in and replace each one. So here is going to be 4 plus 15, so that's just going to be 19. Here I'm going to say 3 times, instead of y, I'm going to replace that with a 6, which just equals 18. And here I'm going to say 15 minus, and in place of the letter z, I'm going to write the number 3, and that's just going to be 12. All right, evaluate each expression where x is always going to be 2, y is going to equal 18, and z is going to equal 9. So I'm going to say x times z, but in place of x, I'm going to write 2 times, and in place of z, I'm going to write 9. So that just equals 18. Here, I'm going to put in my 18 minus, and then here's the 2, so that just equals 16. Here, I'm going to put my y divided by z, so y is 18 divided by z is 9. That just equals 2. All right, I'm going to plug in 18 for y and 2 for x, and that just equals 9. I'm going to put in my x and y together, so 2 times 18, well, that just equals 36. And last but not least, I'm going to put in my 9 and my 2, so I'm going to say 9 minus 2, and that equals 7.